This is the City of Waupaca, first Tuesday of the month, City Council meeting.
To our council meeting, we actually have a public hearing first, so we're going to begin with that. This is a public hearing on special assessments for public improvements in the City of Waupaca. And today is Tuesday, May 4th, 2021, and it's 6:02 p.m. I'll call this to order. Sandy, you want to take roll?
Brian Smith.
Here.
Colin Dykstra.
Here.
Lori Chestnut. Here. Paul Hagan.
Here.
Alan Keeland.
Here.
Scott Perchatsky.
Here.
Dave Peterson.
Here.
Paul Mayo.
Here.
Dimitri Martin.
Here.
Mary Fair.
Here.
And Eric Olson.
Here.
10 present. We have a quorum.
All right, and normally I would read the purpose of the hearing, but I'm actually going to just turn it over to Justin, and he'll be able to explain exactly why we need this public hearing.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is, if you're following along, page 2 and 3 of your packet. This is for sidewalk assessment on this year's roadway project, which is obviously Main Street. Our ordinance says that when sidewalks are replaced, we assess the cost 50-50 to the property owners. It is done underneath police powers, and this is estimated costs that you are seeing there. And it's the public hearing. This will be in front of council for 2 readings. At the second one, it will be adopted or denied. So you can see the names, the parcels, the addresses, and the amount that is being estimated. This one is different than usual. As you know, the state has given us STP funding, which covers 80% of the sidewalk. The other 20% is covered by the city, so the 50-50 is on after the 20%. So it is a very good sidewalk rate going to these property owners. Sandy, can you remind me on the assessment times?
So if the bill amount is under $100, it's due in 30 days. If it's between 100 and 500, it's 5 years on the tax roll is what we offer. And if it's over 500, it's 8 years on the tax roll.
That's it, Mayor. That's a public hearing.
All right, thank you. So everybody understands the reason or the purpose for the public hearing. We would take testimony in favor of this special assessment. If anybody would like to give testimony in favor, please step up to the podium, give your name and address for the record, and limit your time to 3 minutes or less. Any testimony in favor of? Any testimony in opposition? Do we have any testimony in opposition? Hearing none, I'll declare this public hearing closed at 6:05 p.m. All right, next up, we have the, yep, okay, that's okay. Are you ready too? Yeah. So we have the regular scheduled city council meeting. Today is Tuesday, May 4th, 2021. I'll call this meeting to order, and let's begin, as always, with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And again, we'll ask Sandy to take roll for, I'm sorry, let's do the clerk's open meeting statement first.
This meeting and all meetings of the Common Council are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the media in accordance with Wisconsin state statutes, so the citizens may be aware of the time, place, and agenda of this meeting.
And then would you also take roll for us?
Brian Smith.
Here.
Colin Dykstra.
Here.
Lori Chestnut.
Here.
Paul Hagan.
Here.
Alan Keeland.
Here.
Scott Perchatsky.
Here.
Dave Peterson.
Here.
Paul Mayo.
Here.
Dimitri Martin.
Here.
Mary Fair. Here. And Eric Olson.
Here.
10 present. We have a quorum.
All right, well, thank you. That's the elected officials, and then staff. We have, of course, tonight, and I'd like to recognize those for people that are watching us. We have Aaron Jensen, our city administrator, Sandy Stibbs, our city clerk, Kathy Kaza, our finance director treasurer, Peg Burrington, who's our librarian, Tom Hart, our city attorney, Justin Behrens, public works director, Andrew Whitman, parks and recreation director, Brian Hosell, our police chief, and of course, behind the curtain, Josh Warner is our IT community media director. So welcome to tonight's meeting. We have a consent agenda, as I said at the last meeting. These are items where we take one motion and vote on that one motion for all of these items, unless a council member would like to see these moved to the regular agenda where we would act on those individually. Anybody that would like to see anything moved to the regular agenda? If not, I'd look for a motion to approve.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Chestnut, second by Peterson, that we approve the consent agenda as printed. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. Motion carried. Under the regular agenda, no additional handouts. We'll run it just as it's printed. So we'd be looking for a motion to approve the regular agenda.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion by Olson, second by Keelan, that we approve the regular agenda as printed. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. All right, next up, and this is just as it says, it's just, we do this on an annual basis. This is the annual review of Code of Ethics, which are on page 59 through 63. Those of you that have been members for a long time, you have looked at those Code of Ethics. Hopefully, you've taken the opportunity to reread those Code of Ethics. And then, of course, Colin, you are the newest one, a member on that, and you're also familiar with the Code of Ethics that we have for our city council and for the city of Waupaca. Any comments on that? Otherwise, I just need a motion just to say that you have looked at that, and we'll place this on file that you agree with our Code of Ethics this year. So I would need a motion.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Chestnut, second by Keelan, that we approve that we reviewed the Code of Ethics. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. All right, next up, we have a presentation for now a former member of the city council, Steve Hackett. So Steve, if you wouldn't mind, come on up. The city went all out and bought him a new name tag. I know his old name tag, but we would like to give you that first, Steve. As name tag. But we do have a plaque for Steve that the city has given Steve for his years of service. And if you don't mind, I'd like to read it. Steve Hackett, given an appreciation of your 18 years of service to the city of Waupaca as alderperson. You have served with distinction, gaining the respect of your peers. Thank you for your selfless leadership and devotion to the 5th Aldermanic District. The city of Waupaca is a better community for your service. Thank you, Steve. So, thanks. Thanks.
Thank you. I don't have anything to say except I really enjoyed the 18 years most of the time. It was more reading than I would ever want to give anybody to do. But thank you very much.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you. I'm not running for office. by the way.
I wish I could hug you.
I'll know you one. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'll hurry up. Thanks, Steve. Thank you.
He's moving like an old postal service.
And one more time.
Thanks, Steve. Have a great night.
Thank you.
All right, and before I introduce our next guest tonight, I'm just going to have Aaron explain why we have our next guest on the agenda tonight, and so you understand completely what's going on and what we plan on doing in the future in this position here. So, Aaron, go
Yeah,
ahead.
thank you, Mayor Smith. So our next guest is Kent Fagorsh from Main Street Marketplace. Kent was asked, and actually in partnership with the Chamber's helping us coordinate some of this. But a couple months ago, we had a conversation about hearing from local business owners and how are things going from a business standpoint. Just what's the city doing well? What's the city maybe something we could consider? And with Main Street being under construction, we thought it was absolutely appropriate for somebody on North Main Street to be our first kind of guest. I know Kent has got about 6 to 8 minutes that he's prepared here today. Had a good conversation with him this morning. And if you know Kent, he's always prepared. So we appreciate him taking the time to come and talk to council. And we will do this periodically into the future. Whether we do it monthly, it may be more of a quarterly effort. But that's what you guys can expect. So. All right, Kent.
Well, thanks for inviting me, and thanks for taking the opportunity to hear from businesses on an ongoing basis. I think it's important because a lot of business people have opinions, and it's good for you to hear directly from them. So I'll speak briefly on two things. One, how the reconstruction of Main Street is going, and two, my opinion on the outlook of business for Waupaca. First of all, we're probably more prepared for this construction than anybody else in downtown Waupaca. Back in 1987, when Bernadette was working at City Hall here, or at the old City Hall, there was talk about the soon upcoming reconstruction of Main Street. And it was long overdue back then, they said. I was 27 years old. I never thought I was going to be 60 going on 61 when it actually happened. So we're really prepared for it, and it's almost anticlimactic to see it all happening now. It's exciting, and in the few months it's going to be happening. We're well prepared for it, and I know some other businesses may be struggling a little bit more cash flow-wise, but fortunately, we've been looking, at this impending challenge for many years. We're pleased with the several years-long work that the city has done with businesses to be in touch with us, getting our opinions, incorporating our opinions into what was going to happen. So we appreciate that. We're pleased with our ongoing accessibility to city employees. Everybody, that is on the project, we can ask them questions and they give us quick answers on it and take our opinions seriously. And we get good updates, and we don't see anything changing on that. So we're very much confident it's going to be an ongoing, smooth process. One thing I'd like to suggest tonight, just quickly, is a potential parking opportunity, and that is on the corner of Washington, the southwest corner of Washington and Fulton Street, where the old auto dealership and the old Quick Trip was. As we get into the busier months, June, July, or July, August, September, and South Main Street's torn up, I think it'd be really nice to look at that as an opportunity for people visiting the city to park quickly. So I'm envisioning as you come down Fulton Street, you could make a right-hand turn into that parking lot, and if there could be some stripes in that parking lot where you could angle park on two sides coming through that parking lot, and then if you exit right, turn only onto Washington, because I know it's a very busy intersection, Washington and Fulton there, but you can make real easy parking for people visiting stores, particularly at that point in time on South Main Street when everything's torn up there. North Main Street will be hopefully open by the real busy time, later in the summer. We never really get busy until July and August, September, October. So it's just a suggestion that maybe that's an opportunity to look for some additional parking for people visiting the city. So yeah, other than that, we're very pleased with how things are going downtown. Jumping to the little feedback on my opinion of how the overall climate for businesses in Waupaca, Waupaca is a great place to do business. It's been good to us over the 34 years that we've been doing business in downtown Waupaca. I do see it getting harder and harder for businesses, small businesses, to start in Waupaca. And particularly people like we were back in the 1980s when we started our business, just young people trying to start a business. It'd be very difficult nowadays for young people to start businesses without a lot of cash. Back then, Burnett was working at City Hall, and I was working out of town, and we poured a lot of our income into the business for many years before we really started taking any income out. I see it easier for businesses like Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks to be opening in the future than places like the old Culligan's Bakery or Main Street Marketplaces to be opening. And I think what can really keep Waupaca special to people all across Wisconsin is if we can look for ways to support local and new people coming into business, young people coming into business, and small businesses, unique businesses starting downtown. So I'd encourage the City Council to look at ways to support that. And I know your grant project that you've come up with is really helpful to a lot of new improvements downtown, and that is a good step. The other thing about downtown, and I know the grant project was also trying to look at ways to improve the downtown buildings. But one of the things that we have noticed over the years, and we're hoping for improvements, but they seem to be slow in coming, is improvements in second floor apartment rentals and the quality of those rentals. From a safety standpoint, we've had a couple tragic fires down here over the past couple decades, and I'd really like to make sure that our apartments downtown, if they're reasonably priced or if they're mid-range price, that they're safe for the occupants and they're nice places to rent. We have 4 apartments above our store, and when we bought our store, they were all 4 rented. We immediately cleared them all out because 2 of them I'd never want anybody living in, even though we could collect rent and make money off of it. And the other 2, we just decided we didn't want to rent out, and even though they're a little bit nicer, we used them for the family over the years, off and on. So if there's any way that the city can continue to support second floor apartment improvements, I think that would help the whole Main Street as far as being a nicer looking place. And I just suggest that sometime when you take a drive down Main Street, look at some of the second floor windows, and you can almost pick out where some of the apartments that could use improvements for their tenants are located. And it will also, if those apartments are improved, it'll also help the overall appearance of downtown. So with that, that pretty much is my 2 cents worth. Any questions, I'd be glad to answer.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody have any questions or comments? Appreciate all the good feedback, and I can tell you we are talking about trying to figure out some additional parking down there, so appreciate the comments.
Okay, thank you.
Park it. Thank you.
Thanks, Kent.
All right, then next up, we have the presentation of the Waupaca Library's 2020 report, and I know Julie Iden, who's the library board president, is here tonight to make the presentation, but Peg, do you want to say a few words first, or are you good? I'm good. Okay. Well, of course you are, yeah.
Good evening. You have to bring me up, Aaron, somehow.
Well, we'll keep trying.
You need to drag the PowerPoint onto the other screen. There, it's kind of acting as a dual monitor setup.
No, they need to do that. He's such a savior, isn't he?
Indeed. Okay.
Mark is located.
I don't think he can get through the door.
Currently, I'm serving as, my name is Julie Iden, and I'm serving as library board president. And today, what I'm doing is I'm going to share with you the 2020 annual report that the library puts together every year. It's an annual report that actually gets submitted to the state of Wisconsin and includes statistics collected by library staff and through the OWLS, the Outagamie Waupaca Library System. This year, there were extra questions in our annual report that dealt with how the library served our community during the pandemic. We've recently adopted a new logo. You'll see it on the screen. That was created by the graphic designer at Owls, and you can expect to see this logo phased in over the next year. It was an unprecedented year. Despite the challenges, the Waupaca Library worked toward the goals of our strategic plan. Comparisons to other years is like comparing apples to the apocalypse. The only similarity is that both words start with the letter A. It was an unprecedented year. Despite the challenges, Waupaca Library worked on providing access and making services accessible, marketing services offered, and making connections within our community, and creating a safe, welcome environment. Library materials were made available in many formats to accommodate the information, educational, recreational, and literacy needs of our community. InfoSoup, our online catalog, provides a robust online portal that reaches beyond the walls of our library. During the pandemic, the Ancestry Genealogy program was expanded to allow cardholders to use it from home. Owls, our library system, offered a new service that allowed for remote library card sign-up. People could get a library card without visiting the library. We answered questions through email, telephone, and chat. Providing services meant we had to get creative. When the governor sent home all non-essential workers, library staff worked on fulfilling the needs of the community. Our 3D printer was put into service to create parts for PPE for area healthcare workers, about 350 pieces. We worked with community partners to install and stock little free libraries throughout the community. And once the library was open for curbside service, we helped the Waupaca Medical Mask Sewers Group get masks in the hands of people who needed them. In January and February, staff provided in-person programming. The pandemic allowed us to learn new skills and provide programs for a broad audience when it was convenient for them. People got used to virtual programs and meetings, and we welcomed individuals from other communities and even other states. Library staff provided services curbside when it wasn't safe to allow in-person browsing. This is a service we plan to offer even after recovery from the pandemic. Book packs were chosen for an individual or a family based on their reading interests, and take and make kits were offered with community partners. To create greater access to downloadable material, we invested some of our funds to buy additional ebooks and e-audiobooks and saw our e-circulation soar. We ordered extra copies of the Waupaca County Post so we could check them out to readers to take home. We had to figure out how to quarantine materials for 4 days when we first reopened, and how to allow our community members to come in as safely as possible. Despite challenges, we still managed to get materials into the hands of our library patrons. We continued to provide access to the internet with outdoor wireless signal and safely distanced internet computers. When time for internet use was limited, with so many people needing access, we worked with our partners to write grants for laptop computers and Wi-Fi hotspot connections for checkout. The service Owls provides became even more important. They gradually increased delivery until we were back to our 5-day-a-week routine. The final entry in our annual report includes a statement from the library board addressing the support that Owls provides to our community. Regular delivery when it became safe to do so, information on proper quarantine procedures, grants for laptops for checkout, a grant for increased Wi-Fi access for an additional router installed in the exhibit room, funds to purchase equipment for producing digital programs, ways to connect with other libraries and librarians, technology assistance, circulation software and training to use it, and increased access to online training for staff. We wanted to measure the impact of our curbside services on patrons who used it, and this is what they had to say. Really, some great comments. The mission, vision, and values are the guiding principles for the important work that our library does with our community. Last year, we had to change the plan, but our goals remain the same. Despite all the safety measures in place during 2020, we were still making connections with the people of our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie.
Any questions, comments?
Council, any questions or comments that you'd like to make?
I'd like to say nice job on the presentation.
Ditto.
Thank you. All right, next up, we get to hear from Jim Scholes, who is representing the Waupaca Police and Fire Commission, and he's going to present the 2020 annual report for us. So Jim, welcome.
Thank you, sir. Mayor Smith, AJ, ladies and gentlemen of the council and fellow Waupacans both here, and thought I saw somebody on the Zoom end of it as well. Thank you for the opportunity to share what I've seen in the Waupaca Police Department during 2020. I will begin by saying the city of Waupaca and the surrounding area served by our department is in a very good place as far as professional policing is concerned. Like everyone else, 2020 saw a lot of serious challenges for our department. COVID-19, of course, meant meeting health and sanitization standards while keeping our officers and our citizens both safe and healthy. The extra time and expense was a necessary distraction. The year saw us transition to a new system of collecting and reporting crime statistics to the state and federal government, which is a requirement. Our department, like the others, records and categorizes every call we get, every stop we make, every interaction we have, every single call. The National Incident-Based Reporting System, and out of a love for acronyms, it's the NIRBS. I haven't found a way to pronounce that, so it's just the NIRBS. That will replace the old UCR method, which was around previously for nearly a century. The new system changes the way we categorize police calls from 8 different categories to 49. Now, on one hand, that makes it a lot easier to keep and share accurate records, but it also means training and a learning curve for the whole department. The result is a more comprehensive view of crime in America and more flexibility when compiling national crime statistics for FBI analysis. To get you back on, if you're going to follow along on this, you'll notice there's 26 pages. We are not going to stop on all of them. That would be a dirty trick, and I won't do that to you. We're going to talk about training. Again, special issues last year. Officers are required, as police officers, to undergo a minimum of 24 hours of training every year, including firearms training. Last year, we were able to attend classes about during the first quarter of the year, but due to COVID-19, virtually all in-person training was canceled after that. So officers attended various virtual training sessions and learned about bloodborne pathogens, leadership, active shooter situations, crisis negotiation, fraud investigation, which saw a huge spike last year, by the way, and domestic violence, which saw an even larger increase. In June of last year, the first Black Lives Matter protest occurred here in Waupaca. There were 3 more during the summer. Each one of these events required an enormous amount of planning and preparedness to safeguard the rights of everyone involved. The result was that today, most people don't even remember those protests. And you can compare that to other communities that are still cleaning up after them or still dealing with them. We had a number of personnel changes. Several were promotions, which we were proud to do in-house. We have some new faces, Officers Jeff Mason, Brendan Muskie, Paul Brzebelski, Nick Booth, and our new administrative assistant, Tiffany Stotzheim, joined our team last year. The programs that we are involved in also saw some challenges. We believe that the best way to serve a community is to be active in the community. Now, last year that was difficult, but not impossible. Our programs included, but are not limited to, coaching youth sports, helping with high school athletics, serving on local boards and the Waupaca Fire Department, being active in community organizations. These are ways to build relationships and trust between our officers and the community they serve. Operation Breadbasket, Adopt a Family, Shop with a Cop. These are annual traditions supported by our officers, our staff, and our commission members. The Drug Take Back, Internet Safety, Project Backpack, Donuts with a Cop, Battle of the Badges, Holiday Escort for Santa, and a very well-publicized rescue of 2 dogs. That was good PR. Mental health programs. This is something I would actually ask you to take time, if not now at some point, to look at page 6 of this annual report. Calls for this type of help from police saw just an enormous spike last year. When someone dies and they are not where we expect to find dead people, where there's medical help in the hospital or in a nursing home, people call the police. Our officers are trained to collect evidence, interview, do drug investigations and death investigations. Last year, we investigated 23 deaths. That's something that can happen any day you go to work if you wear a badge. 20 of those deaths were found to be natural causes, age or health issues. One of the investigations proved to be a homicide. It is still under investigation. Another was ruled a drug overdose by the medical examiner, and one was found to be a suicide. First officer on the scene when somebody dies plays a crucial role. That officer must secure the scene, maintain the integrity of any evidence, find out who we need on the scene, who are witnesses, who are the suspects. The officer also communicates and helps victims with whatever comes next, what services are needed, what help is available. This training and experience for our officers plays a huge role in our ability to investigate, solve, and reduce crime in Waupaca. If you look at page 9, we'll talk about crimes against people. When police walk into an unknown situation like a domestic violence call, it is always a potentially dangerous situation. Emotions are high, it can boil over very quickly. Bad decisions are made, some of which cannot be taken back. The Department of Justice had a report a year ago saying that 40% of all police officer deaths are as a result of domestic violence calls. 4 of every 10 are just, you think you're going to help a family at home. Last year, our department responded to 44 family-related complaints and 40 reports of domestic violence. There are some grisly examples of what our officers deal with every day on page 10. That isn't enough to make it hard to go to work. Sensitive crimes are crimes related to sexual assault or sexual abuse of a child or adult, and physical abuse or neglect of a child. 21 sex offenses and 5 child abuse incidents were investigated by our department last year. Like most U.S. cities, Waupaca is also affected by drug use and abuse. The availability of illegal drugs, the diversion of prescription medications, drug-related crimes, medical and legal costs resulting from drug abuse, and the lives that are affected are all evidence of this. Our department investigated 98 drug-related incidents. Our officers made 58 arrests in which drugs were involved. On page 11, you'll see a report that explains how Waupaca is responding with a dedicated drug investigator. Pages 12 and 13 will show you the kinds and the amounts of drugs that we're finding in our community. And some of you may well be surprised. Next section of the annual report deals with search warrants. Last year, the City of Waupaca Police Department wrote 28 search warrants, primarily related to drug activity. And this is what leads to the evidence that leads to arrests that solves crimes. Finally, we're going to look at property crimes last year, 177 separate property crime-related incidents. You'll see the chart, the breakdown on page 14. Then looking ahead to page 15, you can see how we handled it. Total property loss last year, $28,543. The amount of stolen property recovered was $11,590, which is 41%. Now, statewide, the average recovery rate for stolen property is 27%. Congratulations to our department. Now, if you'd like to see all the numbers, it's something you don't want to do sitting here in a meeting. The complete breakdown is on the next several pages of the report. This will also let you see that new FBI-approved NIRBS system at work. That's the way we report crimes now. Waupaca was on the leading edge for this new system. They were the first in our county to be certified, way ahead of other communities, and for that we thank Captain Helgeson and our former administrative assistant, Jerry Allen, who was stolen from us by another government entity. The report concludes with our staff and the department hierarchy, and I hope you'll get to know these people whose names appear on that page. We are lucky to have them. Now, if you have any questions, I will happily listen to them and then pass them to Chief Hozell for an answer.
Thank you, Jim. I would hope that the Jerry Allen case is a closed case at least.
Well, as long as she's still in our town, we're all winning. Thank you very much for your attention and the opportunity to speak to you, ladies and gentlemen. Good night.
Thanks, Jim. All right, next up, we actually have a proclamation. Thank you. This is for Professional Municipal Clerks Week proclamation, May 6th through May 8th, 2021, and I'll go ahead and read it. Whereas the time-honored role that professional municipal clerks play in local government and election administration is critical to the endurance and prosperity of our state, and whereas our state's 1,854 professional municipal clerks strive to always be impartial in handling their official duties, guided by overarching goals of providing equal treatments to all Wisconsinites, regardless of political affiliation, and whereas among numerous vital responsibilities, professional municipal clerks serve as the official record keepers of their respective municipalities and are tasked with ensuring transparency and communication between the governing bodies that represent the folks they serve, and whereas professional municipal clerks provide essential support in the administration of elections, often preparing ballots, training election officials, and tabulating and certifying election results. And whereas even in the face of uncertainty and unprecedented challenge to election administration, especially over the past year due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, our professional municipal clerks never fail to display their courage, flexibility, resilience, and dedication to the doctrine of free and fair elections. And whereas this week, the state of Wisconsin joins all Wisconsinites in appreciating and thanking our professional municipal clerks for the important role they do. Now therefore, I, Mayor of the City of Waupaca, do hereby recognize the week of May 2nd through May 8th, 2021 as Professional Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to our municipal clerk, Sadie Stibbs, and to all the municipal clerks for their vital service they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. Very nice. And we do thank you, Sandy, obviously. You do many things that most of us don't even understand or really know. So appreciate that. All right, let's go on to public input then. This is for non-agenda items. If there's anybody in the audience or any of the council members or staff that would like to give us the city council public input, so these would be non-agenda items. Go ahead and step up to the podium, give your name and address, and limit your discussion to 3 minutes or less. Any public input? All right, let's move on then. Under new business, we have the Waupaca Area Convention and Visitors Bureau request for street closures for the 4th of July celebration on Sunday, July 4th, 2021. And I know Mitch is on remotely with us, and hopefully people that are listening tonight and council members for that too, because obviously with the road construction on Main Street, the parade is going to look a little bit different this year. Mitch?
Thank you, Mayor. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay. I'm trying out a new microphone here. So, Mayor Smith, Administrator Jensen, and City Council, the Waupaca Area Convention and Visitor Bureau staff recently met with Mayor Smith and Chief Hozell and Parade Coordinator Eric Vergowen to discuss a 2021 parade route for the 4th of July parade. And we came up with this option of beginning the lineup at 9 a.m., utilizing the Waupaca Middle School and Waupaca Learning Center parking lots. And the parade start time would be at 11 a.m. The route would proceed west on Shoemaker Road, turn north on Churchill Street, turn west on Royalton Street, and then disband at 8th Street. And we did receive permission from the Waupaca School District for the use of their parking lots. We would request a temporary road closure for the above parade route, and assistance is requested from the Waupaca Police, Fire, and Street Departments for this closure. Additionally, we request permission to close Lakeside Parkway from the High Street intersection to the Waupaca Regional Recycling Center that evening for fireworks display over Shadow Lake. And the road would be closed to pedestrian traffic to leave a path for emergency vehicles. And we will work with the Waupaca County Sheriff's Department for reserve deputies to patrol Lakeside Parkway area. And as always, we will provide the city with a certificate of liability insurance for our events. And so that's our request. We're really excited to be able to plan some events this summer. And last year was quite different, but we're really excited to make this all happen this year.
Great. Thank you, Mitch. So everybody understands what the request is. This has to do with the 4th of July festivities. Anybody have any questions? Anybody would like to make a motion to approve? I'm sorry.
I have just one question. Is this the same as the fire department parade on May 22nd that they're
No.
going to use? It's a different route?
It is a little bit different route.
Okay.
It'll start out the same, but we're gonna go a little different direction after that. Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
sure.
Anybody else? Scotty, go ahead.
Churchill's kind of a busy road, is there any accommodation being made for detours?
Yep,
While the parade is
there's going to be signs placed on Royalton Street up by Tower Mobile
Okay.
there,
Oh.
and then also as they come into town on Churchill Street. So they can get around, they can go down to Evans Street and go that way. So, and it is also Sunday morning, so hopefully we're not going to have too much
Yeah.
traffic on a Sunday.
Great. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody like to make a motion?
So move.
I'm sorry, who was that, Laurie or? Yeah, so motion by Laurie, second by, was it Dimitri? I'm sorry.
Sure.
Dimitri, thank you. That we approve the Waupaca Area Convention and Visitor Bureau's request for street closures for the 4th of July celebration on Sunday, July 4th, 2021, as well as, that would include for the parade and then also for the fireworks festivities at night. Any further discussion?
Did I hear a time for the parade?
Yeah, the parade starts at 11 o'clock.
Starts at 11, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
So that's, just because I was at that, it normally would start at 10 o'clock, but since it's on a Sunday, they want to go an hour later this time.
And then that had to deal with church, I believe,
Yeah.
so they could be let out and not have the traffic problems.
Thanks, Steve. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? Motion carried. Mitch, thanks. Good luck to you.
Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
You too. All right, next up, Waupaca Room Tax Commission and Tourism Zoning Agreement. And this goes to you, Aaron.
Thank you, Mayor Smith. So this is something that both Kathy and I have worked on along with Terry Schultz at the Chamber of Commerce and along with our municipal partners, Town of Dayton Town Chair John Miller and Caroline Murphy have also reviewed the Town Chair of Farmington. So what this is we, over the last year plus, maybe a couple years, there have been some of these internet providers, Expedia.com, VRBO, Airbnb, that send checks for room tax collections to a larger zip code than municipal borders. So the 54981 zip code covers multiple municipalities, and it really hasn't been organized at that larger national level yet than where these things go. So these agreements have been put in place in other regions such as Aqua area, Door County, some of those as examples, to make sure that there's a way to formulate where the money should be dispersed for the properties. So the way we did this is we drafted an agreement with the help of Von Briesen, who's worked on these in other communities, on a per unit basis. So for example, one room in a hotel would be 1 unit. It's a 30 idea. One VRBO or one Airbnb is 1 because you don't count bedrooms. So that's kind of how it's calculated, and then it gets dispersed off of that calculation. The other thing that's important to note about this is the room tax zone will have a room tax board. Representation will include 2 people from the city of Waupaca, 1 from each of the townships, and then 1 from the city. The city of Waupaca will not get any less money in our 30%. If you guys are familiar, if you remember, a few years back, the state said that 70% has to go to the CD to administer in the tourism grants, and then 30% can be used by the municipalities. So we'll continue to retain what we've had, and we'll also get 5% on top of, once the 70% is distributed, we'll get the 5% of the 30% that's left for administrative purposes. And in talking with Kathy, that's appropriate as far as the work that comes along with this. So that's kind of an overview of this room tax zone. Again, I did mention that it has been looked at and tentatively approved by the partners within the agreement. Kathy, anything that you want to add to that before I open it up for questions?
No, other than last year, even with 2020, the extra just from the Expedia and VBRO, there was an additional $30,000 collected in room taxes on the internet. There is additional legislation coming, going through the state to try and help with the record keeping from these organizations, but it hasn't passed yet, so I will keep council up to date on that and our other partners in the district. But otherwise, I don't have anything else.
So just to make sure that I'm clear, Kathy and Aaron, so right now, the city would get 30% of any funds within the city limits. The township, so that, let's say, for example, the town of Farmington, that would get 30% of anything that's within their township, and the 70% would then go to the Visitors Bureau.
Correct.
That's correct.
Okay, and that would be true with the other townships too. So it's okay, just to make sure. All right, anybody else have any questions? All right, we'd be looking for a motion to approve this agreement.
I move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Hagan, second by Chestnut, that we approve of the Waupaca Room Tax Commission and Tourism Zone Agreement between the City of Waupaca, Town of Farmington, Town of Dayton, and the Waupaca Area Convention and Visitors Bureau Incorporated, and the Waupaca Room Tax Commission. Any discussion?
Just a question.
Yeah.
The two members from the city of Waupaca would be comprised of what?
They'll be appointed.
Okay.
So just like the representation at our past meeting. So once this passes through and is signed by all parties, Mayor Smith will bring forward.
Okay. Thank you.
The guy that asked is be the first guy on it. Any other comments? Sandy will call the roll.
Colin Dykstra.
I guess approve, aye.
Aye. Lori Chestnut.
Aye.
Paul Hagan.
Aye.
Alan Keeland.
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky.
Aye.
Dave Peterson.
Aye.
Paul Mayo.
Aye.
Dimitri Martin.
Aye.
Mary Fair.
Aye.
And Eric Olson.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
Thank you, Sandy. Aaron, thank you. All right, next up, we have business park planning, and this is for a professional service contract award. And Andrew Dane, our economic development specialist, is on with us via Teams here. So, Andrew, welcome.
Well, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Okay. I'll give a very brief background here. I'm getting a little echo on my end for some reason.
You're good here.
Okay, then I'll just have to deal with it on my end. I did make a short presentation on March 16th to council, giving a little update on this project. Essentially, as we went through the update to the city's comprehensive plan, one of the priorities that emerged was housing and identifying new land for housing to support population growth, support the vitality of the school district, support local businesses, and keep the city growing. And as we went through the comprehensive plan, we were looking for places that we could potentially bring in some new housing, and especially places where that might not cost a lot in terms of infrastructure requirements or the need to do, extend a lot of utilities, at least in the short term. One of the opportunities we saw was at the business technology park. And so we identified that in the comprehensive plan as a potential community mixed use area that might be suitable to a variety of different uses, including a strong residential component. And we went out to request qualifications from 3 different firms. We ultimately ended up interviewing 3 firms, and we were very impressed with the qualification package we received and the interview that we conducted with the development review team from Vanderwall and Associates. They are really specialize in planning, and in fact have just finished doing a similar study for the city of Eau Claire, where they looked at a business park on the north side of the city of Eau Claire, and came up with a master plan for a new neighborhood there. So we thought they did a nice job in the interview. They had some nice qualifications and had some very recent experience in this work. So we essentially wanted to go with that firm, and we're looking at doing this as a fairly short study. We think, it's a fairly limited budget, and we think we can get through this in 2 to 3 months. That would position us in a period of time where if we do think this is a good location to do some housing or potentially provides for some new housing, there could be an opportunity for us to make some changes to the zoning code, do some other things, and potentially allow us to maybe see some new development in this area for 2022. And so I guess with that, we were, I wasn't sure, Mayor, if we were officially looking for a motion by council to approve the contract, or if this was informational. So I guess at this point, I'll just stop and see if there's any questions or comments.
Thanks, Andrew. We are looking for this is a contract, so we are looking for approval from council.
Okay.
The only one addition that I would like to make to you is that we have used Vanderwall in the past. They helped us with our west side improvements, which is out by the Foxfire area and stuff like that. So we do have some relationship with them in the past, and they did what we felt was a really good job.
Good point.
Thank you. All right, anybody have any questions? Be looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Keelan, second by Prochatsky, that we enter into an agreement with Vanderwall and Associates to prepare a conceptual development plan for the city's business and technology park for an amount not to exceed $15,000. Discussion? Sandy will call a roll.
Colin Dykstra.
Approve. Aye.
Lori Chestnut.
Aye.
Paul Hagan.
Aye.
Alan Keeland.
Aye.
Scott Prochatsky.
Aye.
Dave Peterson.
Aye.
Paul Mayo.
Aye.
Dimitri Martin.
Aye.
Mary Fair.
Aye.
And Eric Olson.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
All right, next up, this has got to do with the levy for the sidewalks that we're going to be putting in, and as Justin said, it's the Main Street. Basically, we aren't doing any other streets except the downtown area, I'm sure, this year. But Justin, just for the people that maybe weren't at the public hearing, you could just explain real quick what we're trying to do here.
Yes, this is the preliminary resolution for the sidewalk assessments. This year is Main Street. The properties in question, or the ones that are going to be assessed, are on pages 151 and 152 of the packet. Whenever we replace sidewalk within the city, it's a 50-50 cost split. Here on Main Street, that's 50-50 split after the state funding of 80/20. So typically we think of $7 a square foot to replace a square foot of sidewalk. Here, after the assessments, it's 73 cents. So it's a very good value for these property owners. Next council meeting will be the final resolution and adoption. what we have on file are plans and specifications for the project. We have the estimate that's shown, and the schedule for this project is, as you know, it's being constructed right now. The assessments will not be done till after the project is over, and we do a final measurement, and we will fine tune that number. The estimated cost will become a final cost.
So I got a little confused by one thing you said there.
Okay.
We are looking for an approval on this resolution tonight, though. Yeah, so, yes or no?
This is a preliminary resolution?
Yeah, are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry.
All right, we're
Isn't
looking
this
for
just
a
the-
motion to approve Resolution 1486, which is a preliminary resolution.
Move to approve.
I'm sorry, isn't this just a first reading, though?
Not an ordinance. It's not an ordinance, it's just a resolution.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, though. Yeah.
Move to
Motion by
approve.
Fair,
Second.
second by Peterson, that we approve resolution number 1486, 2021, which is a preliminary resolution declaring intent to levy special assessments under municipal police power pursuant to Wisconsin State Statutes 66.0703. Any discussion? Sandy will call the roll.
Colin Dykstra,
Aye.
Lori Chestnut,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Alan Keeland,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Mary Fair,
Aye.
and Eric Olson.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
All right, thank you, Justin. Next up, we have purchase of a new Parks UTV, test driven by the mayor first, and then we'll decide. Andrew?
I won't even say anything. Thank you, Mayor, council members. Appreciate the intro there. So what we're looking to do tonight is replace a UTV that we have in our parks, generally held at Swan Park, is used on a daily basis in the summer. Our current UTV is a 2002 model, so though I am not very good at math, that's about 20 years as we get here soon. Currently has over 1,300 hours on it. And so we're starting to see some wear and tear and some issues on there. We had some issues with the clutch last year, and we feel like we're not too far away from getting into some more major repairs just because of the heavy use that it receives. We even use it in the winter some for some of our events, so it really gets used a lot. Gets used by other city departments every once in a while as well. So our concern there is that if we lost this during our baseball, softball season, during tournament season, would really affect what we do on a daily basis. And so we want to kind of beat that to the punch and get something new out there before that happens. So our park superintendent was able to go and look at a lot of different models and accessories, different brands, different places around here. And we didn't want anything super fancy like you see on the trails and the roads nowadays. Just something that works for us and meets our needs and has the accessories that we need, such as a big box on the back that can be mechanically raised and lowered as we do carry a lot of things, dump different things in there. So that was one of the things we looked for. We found our preference in the Bobcat UV34 and meets our needs very well. So we decided to stick with that model, and we went out and got 3 quotes, with the lowest coming back from Spiegelberg Incorporated, which actually even beat out the Sourcewell price, which we didn't think would happen, but it did. So it's still good to see that every once in a while. The money to pay for this would come from our Parks Equipment Replacement Fund. This is made up of older sales of our older equipment, P-card funds, those types of things. I know we sold our Kubota tractor last year or 2 years ago. Remember that? That was about $14,000. So we definitely have enough in that fund with all the other things that we've sold over the years to pay for this. So it wouldn't come out of any operational budget money at this time. What we would do with the old UTV, we feel like it's more value to move it up to our cemetery for our cemetery sexton to use. If it breaks down, it breaks down. It's not life or death up there in the cemetery, but it can definitely be useful.
No pun intended.
I really didn't mean that, sorry. Yeah, I really didn't mean that, but thank you. I don't even try sometimes, but so we're gonna move it up there if everyone's good with that. So our recommendation would be to purchase the Bobcat UV34 from Spielberg Inc. So tonight we're just looking for approval to buy that Bobcat from Spiegelberg Incorporated. You all right there, Justin? For the price of $13,763 from the Parks Equipment Replacement Fund. You can see all the attached quotes. We also threw in one for a different brand just so you could see that. They're all very close in price. So that is all I have, and I will not live that one down for a while.
I think it'll be yours.
It's always good to have a little laugh. Doesn't hurt.
You're welcome.
Yeah. At somebody else's expense. Yeah. We need a motion then to approve.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Chestnut, right? Second by Keelan, that we approve of the Parks and Recreation Department purchasing of a Bobcat UV34 from Spiegelberg Incorporated for the amount of $13,763. Any discussion? Sandy, will call the roll?
Colin Dykstra,
Aye.
Lori Chestnut,
Aye.
Paul Hagan,
Aye.
Alan Keeland,
Aye.
Scott Perchatsky,
Aye.
Dave Peterson,
Aye.
Paul Mayo,
Aye.
Dimitri Martin,
Aye.
Mary Fair,
Aye.
and Eric Olson.
Aye.
10 ayes, motion carried.
Andrew, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, you have the operator's license, which is on page 161. There's actually two names. And you can see that it's highlighted. It's pending, making sure that they have the background check and money's owed. If that was the case, it would be noted on here. So these are both good to go. We would need a motion to approve.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Chestnut, second by Hagan, that we approve license report number 1539. This is an operator's license. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, say no. Motion carried. License report 1540. This is a taxi cab driver's license. We have one individual on there, same thing. If there was any background check that needed to be done, or if they owed anything to the city, that would be noted. And so this one is also good to go. We would need a motion to approve.
Move to approve license report 1540.
Motion by Olson.
Second.
Second by Peterson, that we approve license report 1540. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Say no. Motion carried. All right, next up, we have Strategic Plan 2020 report. Aaron, do you want to set this up at all before we turn it over to?
Sure, just for about 20
Okay.
seconds.
All
Thanks,
right.
Mayor. Just a reminder for all council members and for our new council member, this is the meeting of the month where we will go over a strategic plan item. So far, we've had Josh Werner, myself, Chief Hozell, and this month is going to be Justin Barron's going over, giving an update on one of his action items on the plan. We're going to try to do this once every month. There may be a month or two that we miss, but so far, so good. With that, Justin, I'll kick it over to you.
Yeah, do you want to
I will.
turn on the Wi-Fi thingajinger here?
Yeah. Keep pushing.
Uh-oh. There we go.
So he's gonna come running.
Happened there.
Oh.
I suppose I could just... There we go. So our strategic plan has already been kind of halfway presented. We have a number of goals. Tonight, I'm be looking at number 2, which is invest, improve, and maintain our public infrastructure. The first one on there is Main Street. I mean, I talk about this one a whole bunch, and it was more than just complete it. We had many things within it. Minimize impact on businesses. Kent was here tonight talking about that. Make sure construction is workable. That has to boil down more with the design of it. We're on track. We put in special staging into the project so that we can get it done quickly and to, well, accomplish those 2 goals, trying to reduce the impact on the businesses, and then also give a project or get a project that is buildable. If it's not buildable, we see that in the bid items, or the cost, I should say. Signage for businesses. We've put up some special signs. My past employment, I worked on a lot of construction projects and saw this was never really done. Down here, we made it a priority. We have some signs out, and we're looking to actually expand on that and include some more advertising to the public that even though we have a bunch of large backhoes out there, the front doors are still open and accessible. So that is still underway, and we're putting quite a bit of effort into that. Keep businesses, citizens informed. We have many avenues of communication, which we are using. The Constant Contact is the weekly update. Facebook is a quick and actually very successful way of getting a message out there. Josh wanted to do these short videos, which I agreed to do. I've become just shy of a movie star, but it seems to get the word out and pretty popular amongst the populace out there.
Only in your mind.
That's true. Well, I mean, the power of Facebook is somebody will scroll through and will stop and watch a 1-minute video. They get a 1-page email, they'll read the first 5 sentences of it. That pretty boring. We know that. We're trying all these different avenues. Maintain downtown parking. We got another idea of how to do that today. The long-term goal is to maintain as many stalls as we could, which most of the council members here were aware of that with the updates. We were able to keep the angle parking. I heard somebody say or ask me, it was just a few weeks ago, are you going to parallel? Which I couldn't believe that question was still out there. So no, we're not going to parallel. We're going to angle, or we're keeping the angle, excuse me, in trying to maintain the total number of stalls in the downtown area for the project and long-term for the businesses. And then business promotion during construction. Lastly, getting assistance from Aaron and then also from the the chamber, working on that notification, the signage, everything of saying businesses are still open. With COVID pandemic last year, that really shut things down, and construction this year, a double whammy would be a very difficult thing for most of these businesses to take on. Obviously, we're very sensitive to that, and we're trying our best to promote, what is happening down here and how people can come and go. That's the quick couple minutes on Main Street. Couple other things underneath my goals: continue replacement, expansion programs. That's with all of our big construction projects. We always evaluate the age and the basically the quality of our utilities underneath the ground, whether it's sewer, water, or storm sewer. When we do a road project, if we just were to mill and pave a quick, easy job, that pavement should last a minimum of 15 years. So we need to make sure that the utilities underneath will last that long. Obviously, we do a lot of maintenance with crack sealing and overlays, and we're able to extend the life of that pavement 30 plus years. And again, we got to make sure that your utilities are lasting that long as well, because if they don't, then we're digging into brand new pavement. We've had one of those recently, and it's really gut wrenching to me, because that's not the intent. That's not what we want to have happen. And then, of course, we can replace mains in laterals every year, but we need to keep an eye on our budget and keep an eye on the rates for our ratepayers. Public Works Facility, another project that's been a long time coming. City, we purchased old Habercorn Field with the intent of putting up a new facility just for Public Works, consolidating operations. We have several garages throughout the city, so we're fairly inefficient with guys reporting to work, getting the equipment, heading off, and vice versa. Getting everybody underneath one roof would help that process. On top of that, the garages we do have are small. We can't put everything underneath the roof, which is kind of a maintenance issue as well. We're trying to maintain this equipment to last forever, or not forever, excuse me, for a long time. So that's a very large project. We have budgeted $6.5 million for that construction of that building. Right now, we are reviewing the firms. So there was an RFP process. They submitted. We've narrowed it down to 2. I've taken a couple weeks to really evaluate and should be bringing something forward to council before the end of June for a basically for action on what designer we want to go forward with to help design this facility. Basically, we've built in over a year and a half of design and have construction for 2023, and that is the plan. And budget willing, you know, with the help of Kathy and the other departments of keeping our budgets intact, both maintenance and capital, that's a very realistic goal. However, we are prepared that if worse comes to worse, we can push that back a year possibly. So that's the quick rundown of my big projects and goals within the strategic plan.
Great. Thank you, Justin. Any questions for Justin? Comments? Appreciate the update. Anybody else have anything for the good of the meeting tonight? We'd be looking for a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Hagan, second by Keelan, that we adjourn until the next regular council meeting on Tuesday, May 18th, 2021, subject to call. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Ellen. All right, have a great night, everybody. Go Brewers.